Welcome to the third part in my web scraping for beginners series. Hopefully you guys have been through part 1 and 2. If not, there'll be some things in here that will stand alone for you, which should help you out. If you've enjoyed it so far, I recommend that you join the Discord and come and talk to us about it so you can kind of understand or maybe ask any questions. So we left off at this point here where we were basically going through each of the pages and pulling out some basic information from this site. So we can get it from the search page. But this page obviously doesn't have all the information in it that we're going to want. The actual main product page has more here, like the rating, the price, the item number, and anything else that you might want to get. So we're going to modify and improve our program here, our script, to actually go to each one of the product pages so we can get the information from there. We're going to introduce a few new concepts, one of them which is data classes and keyword arguments into functions, and we'll put it all together and we'll have something at the end where we go through every search page and every product page and pull information out. So the first thing that I want to do is modify our pass search page function. At the moment we are basically just pulling out the products information that's on the main page. We don't actually want this anymore. We now want to get the URLs for those products rather than the actual information. We're going to be getting that from the item page. So I'm going to remove this. We still want this because we still want to go through the products. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through this. So we'll do for product in products, and then we can yield out the product URL. So we will do product.css first, and we'll find the selector for here. So we'll come back to this and we'll look through and we will grab the link, which should be under this link here. So we can see it here. This is the product link. Is an A with the age class. It will probably be the first one there, so we'll just do that. But whilst we're looking at this, we'll notice this is only a partial URL rather than an absolute one. So we're going to need to handle that. So I'm going to come here and we'll see that we have the product part, which is where we see this in the selector here in the href. And it just has the main URL in front of it, so we can handle that. So I'm going to say CSS first, and this is going to be our A tag, and we want to get the attributes. Now if we look at the code here, it says get all attributes that belong to the current node, and it returns a dictionary of string. So this is what we want to do here, and then we can ask for the href for that there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to come down here and we're going to change the range so we don't have to watch too many things go by. I'm just going to make this into 1 to 2 so we only get 1. And then we're going to print out the item. Let's run this and see what happens first. Okay, so that works. And as you can see, we have now all the URLs for those products. But we need to make this a full URL first. And to do that, what we could do is we could just simply string concatenate in, but there is a better way. We're going to use URL join. So we'll do from URL lib.pass import in URL join. This is just a better way of handling it. So we can do URL join here, and it will be the first part of the URL here, which I'm just going to copy from this. We'll put that there. So we're saying, well, this is a URL join on this, and then our html.css first here, and we just need to close that. That's the wrong thing. That should be product, not HTML. Okay, cool. So I'm going to run this again now, and we should now see that we have these full URLs, which my terminal is telling me I could click on and go to. So this is what we want to do. So with each one of these, we want to actually visit that URL. We want to go to that page and pull out that information. So let's work on doing that first. So let's have a look at where we are down here. So we've got for item in data, we're printing it out. So for item in data is pretty vague. I'm going to change this to for URL in, and I'm going to call this one product URLs, and we'll change this here. And instead of printing the URL, we're going to want to, excuse me, we're going to want to visit it. Now, we actually already have a function here called getHTML that goes to a URL and brings back data. So why don't we just use that? We could say, let's do HTML is equal to get or HTML and pass in the URL. But we're getting an error here. It's saying that the argument is missing for parameter page. And that's because this function that we've specified here says we need to take in a page. That's because we're using it when we loop through the pagination here and we pass in the page. So instead of rewriting this function again to say like get product page HTML, what we can actually do is we can modify this. So I'm going to change this to not take in this actual page name here. We're going to say, we're going to give it a keyword argument. So **quargs inside this function means we're going to be giving you some keyword arguments that you are going to need to deal with. Now what I'm going to do to start with is we'll just change this and we'll say print quargs and we'll do .get page. So we're just going to print it out like this. Now, you may have seen me reference dictionaries using this, but the problem is when you reference it using these square brackets like this here, if it fails, it will throw an error, whereas if you do .get on a dictionary like this, it will just pass over it if there's an error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this out quickly and we will change our for x in range here. So we're going to come down here, instead of, we can't give it a positional argument because we removed that. We need to say, okay, so we're going to say this is now a keyword argument. So page is equal to x. Okay, so I'm going to save and we're going to run. Okay, so we did get our 1 printed out here. So that works. However, we now have another issue. So we have referenced page within our function up top, so we need to fix this now. So instead of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the print because we saw that that worked. It picked up the keyword argument. I'm going to remove the print part and we're going to say, let's move this, we'll copy it down underneath the headers and we're going to do a simple if statement. So let's remove that there. I'm going to say, we'll do if this exists. So if this keyword's, if we find this, we're going to go ahead and run it on this line here, where we can put in the string for the page, which will be our quargs.get page. Okay, one too many there. So this means we're going to find it there. I'm also going to remove base URL because I think that's going to get a little bit confusing right now because, you know, it's not really a base URL anymore. I'm going to call it URL instead. URL. Okay. I'm going to copy this line and we're going to say here, else do this. Let's put that properly in there. So now I've formatted it a bit neater, we can see that if we have a keyword argument that's called page, it's going to run this on the URL where it adds the page in. And if it doesn't, it's going to run this part where it's just the URL, nothing else. So we'll just tidy that up. There we go. So what we can use now is we can reuse this getHTML function with all the error handling that we put in before and return the HTML as a parser object with any page that we choose, whether it has a page number associated with it or not. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run this again and we should start to see some information come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print out our URL here and then, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And we'll print out something from the HTML here. So we'll just quickly print out html.css first and we'll just print out the title for now because we're going to handle getting the information from the product page because this is now should be the page for each of the products. I'm also going to move our time.sleep. I'm going to put it inside our product loop. So we're actually sleeping for each page that we go through there rather than each search page. And let's come and run it. Chapter 3. So we're getting page and we see we are getting the node title back. I'm going to come back out of this and we're going to quickly edit in on this so we can really see and make sure that we're in the right place. And I'm going to put title dot text on the end here. So we should now be able to line up the title of the page with the product we can see there. So we know we're on a different one each time. So we can see that our code is now visiting the actual product pages that we're getting from that search page. I'm just going to cancel that now. We're going to come back in here. So what we've done is we are scraping the main page. So this one here, instead of putting product information, we're pulling product links. And then as we get those links out into our yield, which we've got here, which we used in the other video for product data, we're just yielding the URL. We're going to go ahead and go to each one of those URLs like this and get the information from this page. This is how we can actually get more product information than that's available, or we can start to spider out and get information from different links on the page. So now we've sorted that out, what we want to look at is actually what information do we want to get from the main product page that's going to be useful to us. Well, it's most likely all these product pages are going to be the same. So we could write something up to pull any information off of here that we wanted to. Any of this information is available. I'm going to keep it simple, and we're going to pull the name, the item number, which is the identifier, the price, and maybe the rating as well. Now we could stick with what we did before using a dictionary for this, but when it comes down to dealing with data in Python, I think it's really worthwhile using a data class. It's basically a class that's specifically designed for holding data, hence the name, and it gives you a load of extra options that you can handle, and it just makes everything neater, especially in your code if you're trying to access certain bits of information. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to do from data classes, import in our data class. And at the top here, I'm going to say at data class for our decorator. And that means that now this class here, which I'm going to call item, is now a data class. So I'm going to say, what's the first thing that we want? Well, we're going to want the name of the product. And this is going to be a string. Then we'll have the item number. Again, this is a string. We're going to get, what else did we say? The price, a string again. And finally, the rating, which is going to be a floating point number. In this case, it's 4.6. So we've got this information defined here now. So what we can do is we can create a new parsing function, which we're going to slot in down here. That's instead of this printing out the title, we're going to pass this HTML object that we've pulled from the product page into our parse function. So I'm going to create another one underneath our parse search page, and we'll call this one parse item page. Nice. And again, HTML and the HTML parser, so our code editor knows what we're doing. So from here, I'm going to say our new item is going to be equal to an instance of our item class that we just created. What we can do is we can put this over multiple lines, and now we can start to fill in the information that we want. So the first one was name. Now, this is going to be a string, and because in our last video we wrote this important extract text function which handles all of this for us, we can just call that now. So extract text on the HTML, which is the chunk of data that we're going to be passing from, and now we just need to grab the selector for the name. So I'm going to come back here, do inspect, we'll zoom this in a little bit so we can see. And I'm going to hover over the product name, and we have this H1 ID with product page title. So we'll do H1 ID within CSS selectors is a hash, product page title like so, and that's all we need to do. Our code here, our extract text function, handles the rest. The next one we had was item number. Come back to our thing here. So we have item number, so that's going to be extract text function again HTML, and now we just need our selector, so let's find that this time. Up here, span ID product item number, nice and simple. Span tag, hash for ID, paste that in, done. Then we wanted the price, so again our extract text HTML again, and hover over the price here. Now there's a few options here, but I'm just going to go directly to this one, the span ID again of this. Span ID like so. And the final thing was the rating. So our rating in the right place. Rating is equal to extract text, HTML, and hover over the rating number. And there we go, span with this class thing here. Okay, so span, and a class is a dot, so we put that in like so. Okay. And save, and I'm going to return out of this function. We don't need to yield because this is just one thing, our new item. So I'm going to save, and now you'll notice that I have a lot of errors in my code editor here. It's telling me argument of type string cannot be assigned. And that's because our code does not know whether this is going to be an actual string or whether it's going to be none, because of our extract text here actually can also output none as well as a string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, up here, I'm going to say this is either going to be a string or it's going to be none. And this is, I mean, this is because of the way that we decided we wanted to handle it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this because these could be none. The product could have no price, or it could have no rating. It could be none. So we need to tell our data class this could be a none object. And now you'll see that these are going to have gone away once I save here. There we go. I'm actually going to remove this. It's causing me some errors again. This happened in the last video. There we go. Let's make it causing me some too many errors in my code editor because it's confusing it. Okay, cool. So that's done now. So we're going to actually get the new item up here. It's going to be all of this stuff, and we're going to add it to our main products list here. So what I'm going to do is outside of all the main loop, I'm just going to do for product in our products list. So this is going to be everything that we've just pulled out. I'm going to print product. Now I'm just doing this so it's easier to see in the terminal, on the screen, what we're actually getting out here. So now we've done this, we can see that we're going to have our base URL, which is fine. I'm going to leave it like that. I might have changed it. We're going to get all of the URLs from each search page. I'm still only doing one search page. And then we're going to go through each product page. To speed this up, I'm going to make this 0.5. Like so. Okay, let's close this and we'll run it here. Okay, so there's the first one. Okay, we're going to looping through the pages. That's great. So when we get to the end of the pages, we shall have a complete list of all of the product information from each one of these pages that we'll then get back out, and we'll have nice, neatly in our items printed out. Super, there we go. So we can see that we've pulled all of this information from each of those individual item pages, and we have some extra stuff within our price. So we would want to tidy this data up a little bit, but that's going to be in the next video. For now, I just want to show you one more thing, and that is that we can change this, and this is where having the item data class is really useful. So what we could do inside data class, we can do as dict, and if we come down, I won't put it in twice, we don't need it twice, there we go. So if we come back down to the bottom, and we print product, and we do, I think, is it like as dict takes in a data class product, like so. This is now going to give us that dictionary printout that we had before. So I'll just run this quickly and I'll show you that we get that. Instead of having it like our item like this, we'll have a dictionary. So there we go, there's all the dictionaries rather than having it as an item type. So we could then do something with this if you wanted to export it to a CSV file or something like that, which is what we're going to do in the next video. So what we've done here is we have used data classes, created a new item, we modified our getHTML function, so we took in some keyword arguments, which meant we could decide whether or not we put a page number at the end of our URL, which allows us to use the same getHTML function, whether we're looking at a search page or a product page. Now, of course, to run this as you would do to get all of the pages, we just need to change this back up to 100 or whatever number it was that we were going to use to make sense of that. I'm not going to do that in this case, but you'd be able to see that running if you changed it there. So that's going to do it for this video. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe. There's going to be another one coming out where we're going to talk about exporting our data and cleaning it up a little bit. You'll see that we have these extra lines and stuff within our extra spaces within our prices, and we're going to do something about that. And also we're going to talk about what we're going to do with this data, because having it printed out on our terminal is not that useful to anybody. So we'll look at exporting it as CSV, as JSON, and also saving it to a database so we can start to build up database sets, and we'll talk about that as well. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, jump in the Discord and come and chat to me about it. Let me know how you're getting on. Let me know what you're doing as well. I always like to hear about what projects you're working on.